Welcome to the Rimm-PODCAST, episode 40, and this is your special host, Iggy. Today we got a really special two guests out of the Winter Springs. There will be a lot of discussions regarding Winter Springs, quality of the water, and so on and on. Our special guest is the Ken Greenberg. He's the former commissioner, and Jesse Phillips is the president of the Winter Springs Association.
How's it going?
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having
If you can
us.
just briefly tell us about yourself. I like to do that, so our viewers know a little bit more. And please do. We'll start with you, Mr.
Well,
Ken.
as you said, I'm a former Winter Springs commissioner, and before I was a commissioner, I was chairman of the Tuscaloosa Lighting and Beautification District. Before that, I was on Parks and Rec, and before that, 2 or 3 other committees. So I've been very active in Winter Springs for quite a while.
You look good, man.
Well, thank you. I certainly dress. Never wear a sports coat, but hey, I didn't know I'd be alone. Yeah.
And you are alone.
And here I'd be.
But you look great.
Thank you.
What about you,
Thank
sir?
I'm Jesse Phillips. I'm president of the Winter Springs Community Association, which Ken and I started back in 2019 to try to bring some focus to Winter Springs related issues. And professionally, I work in IT. We have an IT and cybersecurity company based in Castleberry.
Okay, perfect.
Can I add to that?
Go ahead.
Under Jesse's leadership and our whole team, which is comprised of several, probably 5 or 6 former commissioners, mayors, and what have you, we have grown to over 2,000 members already.
Nice.
Not to mention our 5,000 member, our Winter Springs, the social part of our association. We're really proud of that, and I know Jesse works very, very hard on that as well.
Nice. So, I live in Oviedo. I have a lot of family in Winter Springs. I'm a citizen. I do a lot of crossing and businesses and relationships.
Sure.
So now you guys said that your association recently did a survey. There's so many different surveys. There's 38,000 and a change people living in Winter Springs.
Right.
You surveyed them. Can you share with us what feedbacks have you found when you got the surveys back? What is one of the biggest issues that you found on percentage that people are not happy or happy with the current leadership or living in Winter Springs?
Yeah, the top issue is water quality.
Okay.
We asked a series of questions about rank how important this issue is to you. So water quality was the top one. Police and public safety is also a big concern. And there's some other things there with transportation, trees, traffic, and shopping and entertainment, which are not quite as important, but still issues people care about. But by and large, the water quality and police and public safety, both when we did a similar survey back in 2019, and as well as the one we just did last week, very, very similar results.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you guys do randomly select, sending out by mail? How did you reach out to the Winter Springs?
It went out to several thousand email and on social media.
Okay. And then you have a lot of feedbacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, exactly. We got hundreds of responses.
Okay. And what is like you said, quality water is one of the biggest concerns?
Yeah, the water quality historically has been an issue, so it's nothing new. I think it's more important with some of the developments we've seen over the past a couple years, and some of the failures we've had with the water. It certainly has done nothing to alleviate people's concerns about it.
So I know one thing, nationwide, local level, everybody concerned about water quality. So working on that's a topic issue, particularly in Winter Springs. What particular biggest issue that you can share, both of you can share with our viewers, what did you come across? The current leadership or future leadership or previous leadership that have not done something. Can you share with us what it is so that we know as citizens?
Let me grab part of that because I was part of that.
Okay, here we go.
Scenario.
Since you're part of that, let us know, guide us through.
Yeah, let me just say, the drinking water is technically safe.
Okay,
I want to be very clear about
Okay.
that. It is technically safe. Is it
Okay.
the best? Not even close.
Okay,
The real issue right now is our infrastructure,
okay,
or shall I say lack of infrastructure. Our wastewater plants are, well, can't say any clearer than this. They're falling apart. Some of the walls are even tilting at a 20-degree angle. What have we done about it? Well, so far nothing. Our wastewater system, our sewer system, is aging, and this current leadership, in our commission, in my day, years ago, we had set aside money, to do a lot of repairs. There was a consumptive use permit that was issued by St. John's for 1 million gallons, and that came with a grant for a reclaimed water plant down by, right off Central Winds Park down by Lake Jessup. The city took the $3 million grant and put another 2.5, almost $3 million into it. They didn't use it. Now, it's not that it wasn't usable, it's that didn't really need it. It was really more geared to, use as reclaimed water, throughout the city. Well, this current leadership killed that. And consequently, you can make all the reclaimed water you want to make. If you got nowhere to go with it, it's good for sprinkling the lawn at the park, which is what initially they were doing. Nothing more. I know there's a Commissioner Cannon who basically runs the whole show. He controls all 5 votes in our commission, sadly. He created a witch hunt, like he had nothing to do with anything, notwithstanding the fact he was sitting on the commission. And they started throwing out subpoenas, for people to be forced to testify under oath. I was one of those that was subpoenaed, and our attorney and all, I think 8 or 9 of the 11, well, we weren't going to show up. We were happy to testify, but we weren't going to be forced to testify under a subpoena. When he wasn't subpoenaed, when the city manager, who was involved going back, way back, in fact, when the cup was even issued, wasn't subpoenaed, or anybody else that really had firsthand knowledge, it was a political stunt.
Okay.
And in fact, he was caught on a hot mic, Kevin Cannon was, saying, "We're not getting out of this what we need." And that's a quote. So that's a pretty sad state of affair.
Revealing.
It's revealing, but when you spend taxpayer money, and a lot of it, to have witch hunt after witch hunt and come up with, "We're not getting out of it what we need," that's a pretty sad state of affair of our leadership in our city, which Jesse will tell you, the survey is stating nobody's happy, or check nobody, I apologize. The vast, vast, vast majority is very unhappy with the leadership in our city, and they should be.
And that's the whole point I'm doing, bringing the leaders, previous leaders, current leaders, connecting them with the residents.
Right.
So we know what's really going on. A lot of times when I interview the mayors, a lot of citizens doesn't even know how the city is the structure.
Right.
So you might live in Winter Springs, but you are working in Winter Park too, like 2 minutes away, just the board, crossing the board. It's 2 different laws because we don't know what we are familiar with. So next topic, I want to move on. You said development, infrastructure, certain storages has not been occupied, properly unoccupied. I don't know. That's why you are guys here today, so discuss that issue too that Winter Springs is facing. So if you want to ask.
Which issue would you like to hit?
I want to hit based on the development of Winter Spring infrastructure, something about taking commercial space was not properly used.
One of the questions we asked was about the public storage unit that they're looking to put in. Resoundingly against that. In Tuscaloosa, that's a discussion point where we just said, hey, this is an issue before the commission. What do you think? Then we asked a larger question because historically, politicians have campaigned against development. They've made promises, during the campaign season. Hey, I'm going to stop all development. We need to stop this, and have addressed the voters' concerns on that issue as part of the campaign cycle. And then when they get into office, it continues. And so we asked a question of, do you feel that Kevin Cannon has followed through on his commitments and campaign promises to stop development? And like 9 out of 10 people said no, they don't. So we repeatedly hear over and over again the same promises, and then the same thing continues, despite those promises. So we're encouraging everybody to say, hey, it's one thing if you're going to let development continue, but at least be honest with people that you're going to do that, and don't be hypocritical, saying one thing campaigning and another thing once you get into office.
Okay, so based on the hypothetical collection on the surveys, vast majority of the citizens, do they are against the building commercials, or do they are for creating residentials, apartments?
Not so much the commercial. We asked, what are some things you would like to see in Winter Springs?
Improving.
Yeah, and so one of the things that came out was, family-style restaurants. There's a great desire, for that. So we have a lot of empty commercial space, and there are a lot of good ideas about some things we could do in that space. What people are against are things, like the public storage units, things like what they've put in at the corner of Tuscaloosa and 434.
Okay.
Those are just not the kind of things that you cut down all the trees. Well, if we're going to cut down those trees, let's at least put something here that we don't already have right nearby. You know, and it's a lot. You have a bedroom community. People are looking for dining options, entertaining options, and that's just not what we're getting.
So they don't want to draw in other cities to
Well-
dining or something?
Well, the answer is they are driving to other cities
Okay.
for dining and
So
everything
that's
else
created the
because
traffic
we
issue.
don't have a lot. One of the issues, talking development, by trade, I'm an investment banker and a developer.
Okay.
That's what I grew up doing before I retired for my 4th time and about to come out of that again. You take that shopping center on 434 in Tuscaloosa. They put a big shopping center. We're not talking a strip center. We're talking a supermarket and Aldi's, which I happen to like Aldi's. But you have an Aldi's, you have a dollar, store. We need a dollar store in this city, in this community. Like I need another rump. But nonetheless, you put another gym to go with the gym across the street to go with the gym that just opened up down the block. But anyway, you tore down acres and acres, 10 acres of solid trees to put this up. Now here's where the public storage rub comes, and this is a big, big issue to the people. And unfortunately, I can pretty much guess where this is going to go, and the people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but let me just say it anyway, and I'm not saying I'm for, against, or others, let me just point that out. There's a 5-acre, almost 5-acre parcel right next to the shopping center that they just put up, heavily wooded, but the developer that wants to put a public storage facility in there, and it's going before the county. Now, why is it going before the county instead of Winter Springs? Simple. The county owns that land. People think that everything on 434, for that matter, anything on Red Bug Lake Road, we don't have one blade of grass. Not one blade of grass on Red Bug Lake Road belongs to Winter Springs. Forget what the signs say. So anyway, on this particular approximately 5-acre piece, it's got 2 zonings on it. The back parcel is industrial, which permits public storage. The front part is residential. So a developer is making a move to go into, or already has gone into, the county commission and asked to put public storage and change the zoning of the front. Well, that zoning, that residential part in the front is no longer really suitable for residential, with industrial right behind it and a shopping center literally right next to it. So the proper use is probably something commercial. To that end, typically if a developer goes in and it's county owned or Castleberry owned or something within our, foray, if they need our water and sewer, they must annex into our city. Here's the rub. This developer doesn't need the water and the sewer, because a public storage facility, what do they have, 1 or 2 little bathrooms?
Yeah, that's it.
They're going to sink a well and they're going to do a septic tank. They don't want to be part of Winter Springs, and I can understand why, for a lot of really good reasons, especially under our building codes, or our 2 separate building codes the city has, which is crazy in and by itself. So what's going to happen, this is going to go before the county commission. I think the county commission is going to have a terribly hard time turning down a developer and under developer rights, and Winter Springs can stand on its heels and jump over the moon and do backflips all they want. If this developer doesn't need Winter Springs water or sewer, Winter Springs really has nothing to say. No more than Winter Springs has anything to say with what's going on with 417, which is a state road. These politicians get up and they start jumping on a soapbox. I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this. They can't fix something they don't belong. No. Winter Springs can't fix a piece of property that's not in our jurisdiction. We can't fix a state road or a turnabout or things like that are on state roads. They're not on city roads. There's nothing they could do. Again, empty promises, but they say what people want to hear. And personally, I find that offensive. Oh. And I know apparently 90% of the people that were polled find that offensive.
They speak out.
And that's what our association does, is we educate. Nice. Unlike the city that just throws out, or these so-called politicians throw out, statements like they're fact. We actually, when we put things out there, we put it out, and we put it out with the facts. Nice. The water issue that Jesse will talk a little bit more about. They're throwing darts out there because they don't want to be blamed for something that they're responsible for. Nice. So throw some darts out. Let's confuse people. People want to get confused. People know what to do. Maybe they won't vote. Who knows?
Or maybe they're busy. They just with their lady.
Well,
Yeah.
problems are never talked about until they're on your front door.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, when they're on your front door and your kids get sick, because of the water.
Which is why I got involved in this to begin with. My family started having some health issues with the drinking water. I know he said it's technically safe. It was making my family sick. We started the Water Quality Initiative as part of our association to start trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. Why is my wife having these issues? Why is my son and daughter having these issues? Started asking questions, found out that there were issues with the drinking water. There were EPA violations 6 of the last 7 years with total trihalomethanes and coliform and then some corrosiveness
Those are not
and
good
hardness.
things, by the way.
And then
Yeah, they can.
so by the time that the wastewater issues started to surface, this was already after the commission had spent months and months denying that there were problems, saying that we were crazy, there's no problems here. And so there's really kind of 3 facets with the water. You have the wastewater, you have the drinking water, and then you have the permitting issues related to the cup.
So got a lot of issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues. Undergirding it all is the fact that they brought in the Flint, Michigan Water Company to mismanage everything. And you have a city leadership that's done nothing but deny, deflect, and try to blame past people for their problems, which we're not here when...
Just think of the optics. Just for a second, think of the optics. There's certainly there are a good handful or more of really super well qualified water management companies.
Right.
And what do these geniuses do? And by the way, we contacted every one of these people on the commission and said, think about this. This is why you don't want to. They hired the firm that's currently and was still being sued by the state of Michigan for their role in the Flint, Michigan water debacle.
Wow.
This is who's running Winter Springs Water today. Wow. Can you believe that? When I tell people that, they're shaking their heads.
Unbelievable.
Totally unbelievable.
So I want to move to the next question. Under your leaderships, everybody wants to work for the government, employee benefits and everything. Is that the same thing situation under current?
No, Winter Springs, you get involved in Winter Springs, at least in my day, we got involved for the love of city.
Okay.
Because first off, the salary for a commissioner is $1,000 a month and another $80 for your phone and computer. Whoopee. What it did, it threw me in a higher tax bracket because I was right on the edge. So I paid for the privilege of serving. But you know what? I loved the city, and I loved serving. And the mayor is paid $1,200. But here's the funny thing: the mayor in the city of Winter Springs is like the Queen of England, has no vote, except in a rare case of a tie. And I think when Charles Lacey was there for 10 years, I think he had one. And it was a nonsense issue because one of the commissioners wasn't there, so we got to, it made a big hoopla. We got to break a tie. But for the most part, the mayor is more influential in the county. The problem is this particular commission under Kevin Cannon, to be honest with you, they have no influence with the school board, have no influence with the county, have no influence with other cities, because we have isolated ourselves. We don't belong to agreements with the school board. We're the only city that doesn't. We have no agreements we broke out of the agreement with Iron Bridge, which basically we could have shipped our wastewater there and sent it back rather than, panic, what are we going to do now with 50-year-old plants that weren't even new when they were installed, I've come to find out. And there are other agreements. This issue we talked about a minute ago about the storage facility. If we had we're in a participating agreement with the city, we would have some conversation about that. But we have isolated ourselves. Winter Springs is an isolated city, and what was a top 10 city in Florida, isn't even in the top 100 anymore on the list that just came out.
And you see it in the exodus that we've had of city staff as well, where we've lost a very, very well qualified city manager. Who left. The mayor resigned because things had become so toxic there. And there's been people in our parks department and the marketing department. We're now on our 3rd chief of police.
Oh, wow.
Under this current city manager's very, very short tenure. And that was one of the questions.
What about the marketing company? This you're going to love if you want to know about
I'll
Winter
talk about that in
Springs.
a minute. But one of the questions in the survey was how concerned people are about being on our 3rd chief of police and whether that represents an issue for them affecting public safety, and it does. For a vast majority of people, kind of see that, you start to wonder look, it's one thing if you lose your marketing director. It's another
Yeah.
thing when you lose your chief of police. And for that to keep happening, does it happen every once in a while? Sure, but we're now on number 3 in a very short period of time. His comment about the marketing firm was, they hired a marketing. This is an election year, right? So they've been denying that there's problems, but they also hired a marketing firm. One of the things in their stipulations of that contract is to do crisis PR management.
Oh, wow.
And so keep in mind this is a city that has blocked all residents from commenting on the Facebook page.
On the official city
wow.
Right,
Facebook
because
page,
we
no
were
commenting.
sharing I was posting official documents from the Department of Environmental Protection saying, hey, here's what happened Winter Springs residents on this day. This many gallons of raw sewage was pumped out unlawfully I was sharing that citation from the state, an official state document on the City of Winter Springs official Facebook page.
Administration
They started deleting it.
Wow.
Started deleting it, and then we called them on it because they were only deleting my comments, and then they started
mine.
deleting everybody's comments. So now, not a single Winter Springs resident is allowed to interact with the city on its own Facebook page.
Including the fact that DEP fined the city $150,000 a day. And by the way, until all the corrective things,
$50,000 total,
total.
not a day.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, what I meant to say, yes, you're right. It was $150,000. But St. John's has also gone after him. I'll have that documentation out to us soon.
St. John's Management
Yeah.
Company.
And it does have a daily fine until everything is rectified.
Wow.
And that's coming up real fast. And that'll be some more sad news that we'll have to share that the city will deny, and we'll post the documentation to prove it. And then, then they'll say they put it out there, but they really won't.
So this marketing firm that they hired, the guy at the head of that firm was on Ron DeSantis' transition team.
Okay.
And so, we kind of wondered about that. I don't know how directly he is involved with the contract here in the city, but this company was hired right about the time that it was thought that the state would be coming down with this consent order. And so, they are spending $150,000 to $200,000 of taxpayer money to do a PR management right in an election year to improve the image of the city right when you have 3 incumbents that are going to be running for re-election. That was a question we asked in the survey. Does it seem like a conflict of interest for city commissioners to pay a marketing firm which works for political candidates, has connections to the governor, to do the city's marketing in an election year using your taxpayer dollars? And again, those are the kind of issues that you can just do that at 10:30 p.m. on a commission meeting when nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention, and then just spend 150, 200 grand of our money.
Just like that.
It's unreported in any campaign finance report, and yet the intent of it is obvious. This is an election year. They're under pressure, from these state agencies and trying to create a good image for themselves.
It gets even better because they took bids, and there were 3 bids to do the city's marketing. One came in at approximately $45,000. One came in at $75,000. The one they opted for was the political consulting firm that came in it'll tap out at $197,000.
Wow.
Why not the $45,000 if it's
It's a decent. Yeah.
Well, Mayor McCann said, well, we want to come up with a city song and a city bird and a city flag. I mean, come on, we got serious problems.
Yes.
We have serious problems in this city.
Hey, we can record the city song here in this studio.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
I also have in my last question, because you guys are doing beautiful things for the community of Winter Springs. That's why I brought you up, so we can open up eyes of the Winter Springs residents.
Perfect.
If you can look it up in camera and say what you're gonna do for them moving forward and how they can reach you, please do so. Look it up in camera, and I will start with you.
Really simple. I'm not running for office, let me just say that. I've taken my pound of flesh off of me. But having said that, what we do is we bring real issues and real solutions to the city, even though they're denied by our leadership until it's just so obvious and the documentation's out there and they have to shake their head and say yes. They don't put it out in the media. They say they do, but they don't. I ask for it. I do information requests, and the real information is shadowed. So really what our goal is we bring community leaders in, not just Winter Springs, but community-wide. We've had all 5 of the constitutional offers coming to speak, either have or coming to speak at our Winter Springs Community Association the second Tuesday of every month at Red Eye. We're getting involved with, and Jesse spearheading, a political hobnob where it's not Winter Springs, it's the entire county. Anyone that's touching the any of the lines of Seminole County is welcome to buy a table and participate. But we think that people have the right to know. It's not going to affect my lifestyle if my water bill goes up, $10, $20, $30 a month, but it does affect people who's on a fixed income. It does affect people if their water's sick. Jesse's water was more of an issue, and I know this because I've seen actual documents, the public hasn't, that if you get near the end of the line of the water distribution, you have more TTHMs in it than you have when you're closer to the plant that's purified. He's near the end of the line. I know people that are further out, and I've seen the reports, and the TTHMs in their water is, well, it's really bad. But they don't, I said, do we go knock on their door and tell them? No, we can't do that. That'd be liability. Okay. So anyway, the bottom line is we want the public to know what's going on.
Right.
If you choose to do nothing about it, fine. If you're happy with the current direction of the city, which apparently by survey they're not, keep doing what you're doing. Keep these people in office. Keep that leadership the same. If you're happy with what happened in Flint, Michigan, and the people that are responsible or partially responsible are here, do nothing. Say nothing. Hide your head. Bury it like an ostrich. But just know when you bury your head like an ostrich, you know what's sticking out.
Yep. What about you, sir?
I will promise to continue to work as a father and a husband for the interests of my family. I got involved in this because I started hearing my daughter experience various things that made her cry during bath time because of the surface of the water touching her skin and what was happening to her internally. That's my passion, to leave no stone unturned in the defense of some really, really basic things. I really have learned not to care about who I upset or who is happy with me. It's the wife that God has given me and my 4 kids. They're my constituents, and regardless we started on this path knowing that regardless of where the road led, we needed to follow the facts and follow the truth every step along the way. I could have no way of knowing at the time about the various other unrelated things that our research would uncover, the way we would kind of be thrust into the middle of this huge ordeal that now has the state involved. But I do feel like the more that the truth gets out, the more that people understand fact from fiction, the more we can make better decisions and really understand what's going on. So that's what our association will do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do as a resident, as a husband, and as a father.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. This is the Rimm-PODCAST, episode 40. Like I said, your voice matters. You have to care and share within the community. That's why we are bringing the leaders. And Jesse Phillips is the president of the Winter Springs Community Association. You should join it. I go there every month. It's beautiful leaders out there. You can learn so much more. And the former commissioner of Winter Springs, Ken Greenberg. Guys, thank you so much. It was such educational. That's all what it's about, educating others. Thank you. We love you, and happy Easter. Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, folks.